All right, and welcome to the Evergreen Report. I am your host Jay, and I'm super excited. The Evergreen Report is your local news, local overview of what's going on in Washington State with different House bills, Senate bills, what they mean for you as a individual, as a family, as a father, as whatever role that you play in the state. I truly believe that there's a few wars truly going on here in Washington State on the ordinary person, on the parents. Yet alone, we're not. Our leadership is not fighting the true things that need to be fought: homelessness, drugs, um, crime, public safety, all those things that truly matter. And they're focused on things that don't matter. So my goal here is to highlight many different bills, what they mean, and what they mean for you, the impacts that they have, and just go over them. So I went ahead and went through a bunch of different categories. And I started, where did I start? I started with our schools and with public education because I just feel like there's so much wrong with our public education here in Washington State that we just don't talk about because we don't know what the heck's going on. And the goal of this podcast, again, like I said, is to help you, the listener, the average ordinary person just like me, understand what the heck's going on. Now, do I understand everything's going on? Absolutely not. But there's a bunch of things being introduced in the current legislative session. Lots of education related stuff. Like the education page is absolutely huge. It's ginormous. There's so much going on in the Washington State Senate here, and I will actually pull it up and we'll actually screen share as we go here. So let me see, because there's a lot. There's a lot. So this is probably my favorite website. It's the ledge.wa.gov bills in meeting. You can find different bills, different initiatives, and kind of everything that's going on um, in the in the Senate and in the House and the Senate, and pretty much everything going on in Olympia. So it helped you as a consumer, as the average person, start to understand some of these things. So we're going to go here, we're going to share. Okay, so this is a website that we're going to be using a lot. So we're going to put in the different bills. So the first one that I really wanted to get into is House Bill 1296, promoting a safe and supportive public education system. So all you have to do on this website is House Bill, it would help if I remember the name, 1296. House Bill 1296, maybe I don't do this. There it is. House Bill 1296, supporting a safe and supportive public education system. A lot of time we don't understand what this means, and a lot of time we don't. These are all the sponsors. See, these are all the current leaders that in the Senate or in the House that support this bill, that are in favor of it, that have some kind of affiliation with this bill. And then, of course, you go down here, you see where it's at in the process. So it's in the House right now. Something really cool that you can do on all these that I want to show you, and I'll put each of these links in the show notes, is you can go in, you can send a comment on this bill to your legislatures. You fill out all this information, you verify your district, you click who you want to send it to, you enter your contact, and you simply put support, oppose, and your comment there about what you think about this bill. And you should do this on every single bill. Once you do this, if you do it on Google and you have your pre-fills on, it literally takes 30 seconds and you can be a massive voice. So that's something I want to highlight here. But let's first highlight, let me copy that link. I don't lose it, because if I don't do it now, then I'm going to forget. But okay, House Bill 1296. It aims to enhance the safety and supportiveness of public schools for implementing measures to address bullying, harassment, and discrimination. Sounds pretty good. Proponents argue that this bill will create a more inclusive and protective environment for all students, potentially reducing incidents of bullying and improving students' well-being. Critics may express concerns about the implementation of such measures and the potential for infringing on free speech rights. So, of course, there's always two sides on every single bill, but that's okay. Overall, I personally would be in support of this bill. I don't see too much wrong with it. You can look at the original bill here. There's been no amendments to it. And of course, you can always pull up the original bill here. There's 15 pages, and you can see what it's really about. But yeah, so that's kind of how you navigate this stuff. But basically, at an eye's glance, to understand this one, it's protecting our students and, enhancing the safety and supportiveness of public education and implementing measures to address bullying, harassment, and discrimination. which isn't a bad thing. That's a good thing overall. So I personally would support this bill. Senate Bill 5724 is our next one. So 5724. Okay, so as of Thursday, February 20th, you see this one is still in committee. It hasn't passed. It's still in committee. So it hasn't even hit the floor yet. And it's sponsored by so and so. You can send your comments here if you want to support it, and I'll put all this in the show note. I'm really just doing this to give you guys a demonstration, and then we'll start flying through the other bills and whatnot that are here. But I just wanted to highlight the first couple so you kind of understand. If there are any more that I want to highlight, I'll pull them up on the screen. Improving student access to a dual credit program. This Senate bill seeks to enhance accessibility to dual credit programs, including career and technical education for high school students. And the impact of this bill. Supporters believe that expanding access to dual credit programs will provide students with valuable opportunities to earn college credits and gain technical skills while still in high school, potentially reducing the time and cost required for post-secondary education. Opponents might raise concerns about the readiness of students for college-level coursework and the allocation of resources to support these programs. So, of course, where's the money going to come from? How is it going to be supported? How is it going to be implemented? And what is actually going to happen with it? But overall, at a glance, I think this is really great for our students to be able to have that earlier access to dual credit programs, technical careers, because we need more technical careers. We need more, technical workers. And so being able to encourage high school students to get into that at a younger age and to be able to start doing that and giving them a chance to at least learn and apprentice and start to get that time under their belt. In addition to, getting into the workforce sooner, and maybe college isn't the route for them, and knowing that sooner can save them a ton of money. And I see this as a really, really good thing here. All right, so into the third one. Senate Bill 5654, addressing restraint or isolation of students in public schools. This addresses the use of restraint and isolation methods in public schools, proposing restrictions and requiring policies, incident follow-up, and training. Also, advocates emphasize the importance of safeguarding students' well-being and ensuring humane disciplinary practices. Critics might express concerns about the bill limiting educators' ability to manage classrooms effectively, especially in situations involving student safety. So let's look this up and see if we can go a little bit deeper. No, so that's pretty much what that one is. You may be on either side of that one, depending on if you believe in restraint in schools. Sometimes restraint is necessary for some of the higher need kids to be able to keep the other kids safe. And I don't think there's anything wrong if a kid needs to be restrained for whatever reason or put into an isolated setting for them to calm down or to regulate or whatnot. I don't see anything too bad with that. So I'm more or less okay with that. Again, that Senate Bill 5654, addressing restraint, isolation of students, so on. Again, this one's still in committee. You can see all the bill history. You can see the complete bill, all that fun stuff. And you can even see videos. So it's really cool because you can see it like being heard on the floor and going in. So that's kind of what this bill is. There's a companion bill, House Bill 1795, which is really easy when you click it. Go right here. The same thing. So they go hand in hand. This one, again, is still in committee as of the 17th. Without the majority says do pass. The minority says without recommendation. And then another minority says do not pass. So this one, nothing's really taken. This one might not be taken a pat here. But again, you can always comment, make your voice heard on all these bills. Again, that's super important here. All right, so let's go ahead and stop sharing for now and get back to regular scheduled program. Senate Bill 5593, adjusting enrichment levies and local effort assistance. This bill, SB 5593, proposes modifications to enrich levies and local effort assistance, which are critical components of school funding. So this bill could have significant implications for the financial resources available to school districts, potentially affecting programs and services offered to students. Discussions may revolve around equity in funding distribution and the reliance of local levies to support education. So this is just levies. You vote on them on your ballot, nearly every time. So it's important to understand what those levies are for, what they're going to, how they're going to impact your taxes, and really understanding those. But then it's really important that you understand like where these levies are going to go and how they can be redistributed. So this one is really important because I don't want all the levies from around the state to all be dispersed around the state. If I'm paying my local levies for my local school district, I want that to stay there. So this one may be something that I would oppose because I want my local school district to be able to control that. And then, of course, Senate Bill 5180, securing the rights of students to a safe learning environment. This one aims to ensure that all students have the right to a safe, civil, and respectful learning environment, free from discrimination, harassment. Again, kids are going to be kids. Kids are so going to bully. You can't stop it all. You can't eradicate it all. But if you can put some things in place to create a safer learning environment for kids that's more supportive, then that's great. Supporters argue that this legislation is essential for protecting students' rights and fostering an inclusive education atmosphere. I don't know what rights are being referred to here, but something very interesting. When it says those things, an inclusive educational atmosphere, it for me personally, it throws up some red flags because okay, what inclusivity are we trying to include here? What kids are we trying to protect versus other kids? And opponents may question the bill's implication for school policies and potential challenges in enforcement. Again, all these things, all these bills so far, they highlight a couple really big things, kind of like we talked about in the previous episode when we talked about the LGBTQ curriculum, how there's no funding being given to implement that curriculum. But then you look at something like this, these 5 bills, is that, well, if they are implemented, how are they going to be implemented? How do you enforce this thing? And how do you, fund it if you need to fund it, like the different programs and whatnot? So those things, of course, are to be determined later because then you would have to get levies and different things in or pull money from one thing to put it in another thing. And most school districts and, our state as a whole is already running at a major deficit. So extra money for extra things and reallocating money that's not there may be incredibly difficult. And we already don't pay our teachers nearly enough either. So these legislative proposals, they reflect ongoing efforts to address various aspects of the educational system in Washington State, from student safety and the inclusivity to funding a program and accessibility. As these bills progress through the legislative process, they are likely to stimulate robust discussions among educators, parents, policymakers, and the broader community. So that's again why we're covering them, to help you kind of have an idea. So these are just 5 examples of some of the education-related bills from the Department of Education in our states. Something to think about. So now a few more. I want to keep, hammering into some of these bills and seeing what we can get into. We already talked about House Bill 1296, safe and supportive education system, enhancing the safety, dual credit, addressing restraint, isolation, local levies, securing the right of students. Let's see. Okay, we already went into that. So there's more education related steps. So these are some different bills here. I must have copy and pasted the same thing twice. So let's see. Senate Bill 5181, revisions to parental rights in education. These ones are the ones that I'm incredibly passionate about because anytime I see anything about reform to parental right, it's overreach. It's overreach of the state to try to get into what I can do as a parent and what I can't do as a parent, telling me what I can and can't do with my child. So originally designed to grant parents comprehensive rights regarding their children's education, SB 5181 has undergone amendments that have raised concerns. Key changes. So this is one I talked about yesterday, and this is one that I am so incredibly passionate about that needs attention. It needs more and more attention. I want to talk about it all the time. So much that we're gonna 5181. And this one's really easy to remember too, 5181. And unfortunately, I need to share the screen. I don't love the process on this one because this one just keeps getting passed through. I know there's been a ton of cons, a lot of people speaking about this one. And bring it up. So as of Thursday, 20th, today, introduced, it's in committee, on the floor, past the chamber. Now it's moved to the House, and it's in committee. And lots of history on it. In the House, first reading, referred to education. Third reading, passed, yeas, 30, nays, 19. It's passing with the majority, and of course, Democrats have the majority. So if this is a Democrat-sponsored bill, these are different amendments to the bills here. And you have available videos that you can go watch. But the key things to highlight in this bill here are the key changes. Access to records. The bill now aligns with the Federal Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, the FERPA, allowing parents to inspect and review their child's education records within 45 days, extended from the previously proposed 10-day period. Medical information. Schools are not required to release a student's healthcare information or counseling records to a parent who is the subject of a criminal investigation involving the child unless a court order is obtained. So not being able to release that to the people. Impact. A lot of these changes protect students' sensitive information, which if you are a parent and someone tells you no, you can't get that from about your kid. You can't know that if you go to school and they say, well, no, you can't know what they're doing, or you can't know about why they went to the nurse's office today, or no, you can't know about why they got hurt, or no, you can't know about these different things, or no, you can't know about any of these nefarious activities going on, or you can't know about these things. Like, does that feel right? So you can't tell me what I can't know about my child. You are not in control of them. This is my child. Trying to strip parents of their rights is really wrong. Um, and limiting parental involvement is not a good idea because we don't need the state involved where parents need to be involved. When you put the state into places where parents need to be, it eliminates parents being able to be present, and then it takes the kids away from the parents, which is exactly what the government wants, because they want to be able to train and have the next generation to themselves and be able to push whatever agendas and whatnot that they want to push on them. And it's really wrong. It's really icky. I don't love it. And we have to eliminate this. This bill absolutely should not pass. So I would encourage everybody go here to the website that I showed you previously. I'll put in the show notes, of course, and go and make your voice heard while you still can, because this one absolutely should not pass. We have parental rights have to be protected in all costs. We talked about this one on the last episode as well. The LGBTQ curriculum, 5462. I'm interested to see if this one's actually passed and kind of where this one's at. I'm pretty sure this one is already. Also, it's only passed the Senate. Wait, 5462. Okay, yeah, this one's different. I believe this one's already been signed. Inslee passed this one, so this is a different one. Backlog of vehicle inspections. That's unrelated to what we're talking about today. Oh, Senate Bill 5097. Again, this is another one. Having girls. Okay, this one's still in committee, so this one's still early. But safeguarding competitiveness in girls' interscholastic athletic activities. These are the sponsors of the bill. Everyone needs to go and make a comment on this bill, especially if you have daughters. This bill seeks to establish rules ensuring competitiveness in girls' sports, which has ignited discussions about gender identity and participation criteria. The end all be all for this one, for me as a girl dad, is I don't want to see, unless it's supposed to be co-ed sports like recreational league baseball or something like that. That's fine. That's different because that's how that one is. If a girl wants to play baseball in little league, that's fine. If a girl wants to do that, that's fine. But a boy should only get to play baseball. Girls should be able to choose baseball or softball, because maybe a little bit more tomboys, or maybe they just enjoy baseball more and they just want to play baseball. It's okay. Nothing wrong with that, because they're still going to be at a disadvantage regardless. Not all the time, but majority of the time, right? But then if you put that little boy into softball, they're going to have an advantage because they're going to be stronger, they're going to be faster, they probably are going to be able to throw a little bit harder, and it's going to create an unfair advantage, and it's not fair, especially a biological boy. So we got to protect our girl spaces. We got to protect the competitive in girls' interscholastic sports and athletic activities, which means also protecting their locker rooms from a boy who thinks he's a girl going in and changing with the girls, and then realizing, oh, this is kind of great, kind of thing. Little teenage boys are perverts, and so I'm not saying that all of them are, but a lot of them are. And so really protecting our girls here. There's not really a debate on this one. The legislation addresses the balance between inclusivity and fair competition, which debates focusing on the participation of transgender athletes in girls' sports. So again, the argument on this one is very, very, very simple to me. Biological boys play boy sports with boys. Even if they're trans, you have to play with the boys. If you're fifth in that division because you're not good enough and the other four ahead of you are just better, that's so be it. You don't get to just go and become a girl and then be first place in that and take away from those hardworking young ladies. It's absolutely not fair at all. And I'm so glad what President Trump is doing to protect girls' sports and to protect Title IX and to protect our hardworking young women who have worked their whole lives to be in these sports and be in these positions, to win medals or to win competitions or to be first place and be on those podiums, or as a collective team to win championships and titles and things like that in their respective divisions, high school, college. And so it's absolutely something that has to be protected and should not be infringed upon at all by biological males. That's the end all be all. There's no discussion here. There's absolutely no discussion. There's no rule. The only rule to be established here, in my opinion, is to not allow it. You can read more into this bill, then you can comment either way how you want to support it. But I would support something like this to support girls' interscholastic sports being for just girls. Senate Bill 5263, Special Education Funding Reform. So removing the enrollment cap for special education, increasing funding multipliers, and adjusting safety net thresholds. While this bill aims to provide more resources for special education, discussions revolve around budget allocations and ensuring equitable support for all schools. So again, same idea. Where's the money going to come from? How is it going to happen? How are we going to, eliminate more barriers to special education? I believe there still should be an enrollment cap for special education because it needs to be identified as a need, not just everyone that says they need it actually needs it. Maybe they just need better instruction. And I think our class sizes are way too big, and so kids that need quote unquote special education may just need a smaller, more supportive environment. School choice would be a huge benefit to this, to be able to have that option for parents and what it all means and how you can, be in support of it one way or the other. And of course, you can always go make your voice heard. I'm showing you how. Nope. 52, 60. So again, this one's just in committee, so it's on the floor. Concerning special education funding, I think special education definitely needs more funding because we do have so many kids now that do have an identified need for that support, that specialized help. But we have to go about it the right ways. We can't just fund and put a bunch of kids in special education and then you basically have a gen ed classroom. It needs to be identified. It needs to be for the highest level of need kids first. And until we figure that out and actually get those kids the support and services they need, I don't think we should be giving it to all and removing enrollment caps and just letting people enroll in special education or not, because then that's not gonna end well. It's not gonna go well, at least in my opinion. Expanding the next bill is House Bill 1404. And different school districts do different things for how they allocate this, but this is increasing student access to free meals served at public schools. I heard a really interesting take on what was I listening to? I don't remember who I was listening to it, but they basically said that us as parents, we have given the schools and the government essentially too much wiggle room here to allow them to feed our kids as much as they do. Granted, yes, some kids and some families do absolutely rely on that food because they have a hard time putting that food on the table for 3 meals a day. It can be really difficult. And it wasn't necessarily shaming, but it was an interesting perspective to think about because we're essentially letting other people take care of our kids for us in those aspects. And we're just not taking care. We kind of, said, here you go, feed them and take care of them and do this and whatnot. And that kind of taken away some of our power as parents, which, kind of led some of us, led us to this point, which is them trying to take our rights away and say, oh, that we're the parent, we can make decisions for them as educators, as the teachers, as the staff, as the state. And it starts with things like this. So this one is a requested bill by Governor Ferguson himself. It has a lot of support here. I would assume this one will probably pass. But again, where is the money going to come from? Where is the money going to come from? Where is the financial feasibility and implementation of logistics of a universal program? And maybe it works. But what kind of food is it going to be? Is it going to be healthy food? Who's going to make sure it's, created? Will it be equal across the whole state where they all get trucks? Who's going to distribute it? Where is it going to come from? Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to transport it? And all those things. So it's just something that really, really needs to be deeply thought through, and not just, a headline kind of thing. This one I don't agree with, period. Or no, I do agree with this. I do 100% agree with this one, and I think this one's important, but it's sad that we got here. Senate Bill 5136, and you may have a different opinion than me on this one, and that's okay. Protecting the rights of parents and guardians by using students' given names in public schools. So, Senate Bill 5136, and I absolutely support this one. I'm not sure where I land on the 1404. I want to know where it's coming from, how it's going to be delivered, and had those questions answered. I don't think we should just do a free meals program unless we know those details and how it's going to be financed feasibly without sending us into, again, more debt that we're already in. In this one, Senate Bill 5136. 5136 proposes prohibiting schools from using names other than a student's given name without parental permission. Again, it's one of those bills that gives parents, it gives us our rights back. It gives us our voices back because we named our kid. We named them that. Maybe it's a family name, maybe it's something important. And then oftentimes students can go to school, change their name, and then students not even tell the parent, or educators not tell the parent. And it's a secret, and there should be no secrets between a school and parents at all. None, zero, zip, zilch, nada. Even when it comes to something as simple as a name. So it's sad that we're at this place to where it has to be a whole Senate bill, but we're here, and if you are in support of this, I would definitely invite you to go and comment on this bill, your thoughts and what it means, and to push this bill through if you support it or if you don't support it. Maybe. I don't know. So that's kind of that. A few more minutes here, and then I want to wrap this thing up for us today. Let's see. Some of these are from the DCYF, Department of Child, Youth, and Families. There's a bill for improving risk assessment in child abuse investigation. So this bill aims to enhance the risk assessment process used during investigations of alleged child abuse neglect referrals. So enhancing the risk assessment process would be something great. I work directly in this field, and the risk assessment process is, well, if you're already in different services, we're not going to investigate. We're just going to trust that you already have this handled, you got a support plan in place, and nothing's ever done. And so I definitely think a better risk assessment process would be incredibly beneficial. So as of February 11th, it's been referred to the House Rules Committee for further review, which, I wish it wasn't. I wish something like this would pass. But again, they don't want to actually protect our children. When something like this can't even pass and it's just stuck in the legislative process, it's really, really frustrating because this is something that would actually help a lot of at-risk kids and just, help them so, so much. And it would be just so beneficial to enhance the risk assessment process used during investigation by alleged child abuse and neglect. It would be so nice to see something like this, especially as a provider and having to call CPS multiple times in my career. It would just be so nice. It would just be so good if they actually, had a more comprehensive and enhanced system. Senate Bill 5620, establishing rights for children in child welfare services. The legislation focuses on defining and protecting the rights of children within the child welfare system. The impact would be codify specific rights. The bill aims to ensure that children receive appropriate care, stability, support while under state supervision. And so this one, this is another one of those good ones, which I can't fight too much because I've heard too many stories. I've seen too many cases to where a child's in foster care and they're mistreated and children are bounced around from foster home to foster home to foster care for whatever reason. And some foster parents are really sketchy. I say the majority are not, but it's the ones that aren't that ruin it for the rest. And so making sure that children have the appropriate care, stability, and support while under state supervision in these state-sponsored foster care homes would be so, so beneficial to them long term. So again, I'm pro. House Bill 1450, implementing a quality rating and improvement system for early achievers program. This one is just strictly about the Early Achievers Initiative quality rating improvement system for that early learning program, which I think would be good because our children learning at an improved rate and having a better quality and better system in place is good for our littles, our babies. The system is designed to provide transparent ratings for early learning providers, assisting parents in making informed choices and encouraging continuous improvement among providers. So again, it encourages providers to get better and to improve their curriculum. And for us parents, when we are looking at different preschools and things like that, to say, hey, that school has a good rating. They're doing really good. They're learning a lot of things. I want to get into that school versus that school. It's the only time you really have school choice. And so you can definitely take advantage of that if you want to be able to set your child up for success. So again, another pro there. Senate Bill 5643, expanding fatality and near fatality reviews. And it's sad, again, that we're here, but we're here. The bill seeks to broaden the scope of reviews conducted following child fatalities or near fatalities, including granting the ombuds access to pertinent information. Enhanced review aims to identify systemic issues and prevent future tragedies by implementing informed policy reviews. So this bill is currently being reviewed by the Senate, as is House Bill 1450. It's in the legislative process. Discussions are ongoing as implementation, but it's something like this. It's sad that we have to get here to have a bill that will actually conduct reviews of fatalities and near fatalities and why they happen. Absolutely 100% pro this one because there should be accountability. 100% should be accountability. House Bill 1391 and Senate Bill 5426, establishing grants for community-based juvenile justice programs. Again, juvenile justice programs are already underfunded, but where is this money going to come from? I think is the biggest question. But these are to support community-based initiatives that divert youth from formal judicial proceedings. So helping kids stay out of trouble, or those that are at risk of going to juvenile detention or facing juvenile justice, to help them. So it would help those programs that are, already struggling, that are already underfunded, understaffed, that need, a little bit of boost and support. And grants you don't have to pay back. So grants are great, but where does the money come from? By funding these alternative programs, the legislation aims to reduce recidivism and provide rehabilitative support, steering youth away from criminal justice systems. So helping save our youth and save our kids and get them back on the right track when it's absolutely 100% possible to rehabilitate them and to get them set on a path for success. There's many organizations out there. One that I'll shout out locally here in the Tri-Cities is the Big Bro Joe Foundation. I think would absolutely be amazing. They're both under consideration in their respective chambers. Senate Bill 5274, building more trust. I think every officer should have a body cam for their protection and for the public and for whoever they're interacting with protection as well. Given that two-way transparency is huge. Compensating oversight board members with lived experience. Yes. So providing compensation to members of oversight boards who have direct lived experience related to the focus. So bringing people in who understand, people who were the kid in foster care, people who were in these different situations that had lived it, to be able to recognize and compensate lived experience ensures that policymaking is informed by those directly affected, leading to more effective and empathetic governance. Again, I agree with this one. You want the people who have faced it and lived it to have a voice in making the future changes and reform. That just makes sense. That's just good old common sense there. House Bill 1711 and Senate Bill 5488, managing funds and persons of care. These bills address the handling of funds for individuals in care, specifically prohibiting certain funds from being used for reimbursement purposes. The legislation aims to protect the financial interests of individuals in care, ensuring their funds are used appropriately and ethically. So again, this one I think is a really, really great idea. I hope this one passes because it would then make sure that the kids, when they are in care, let's say in foster care or temporary living situation or whatever benefits they're getting, right, that they go on a card or something. It can be tracked instead of just giving the family a check. They go here and you can strictly use them for the child. Here's your allocation as a homeowner. Maybe you need it for rent, utilities, things like that. Here's your allocation of this, but this is for the child. And it has to be tracked: clothes, necessities, hygiene product, school supplies, food, specifically for them, kind of thing while they're in the care. I think would be huge to be able to track that and for them to actually have a higher quality of care. I love this idea. I think there should be accountability there. I think there's always when it's accountability, I think it's always a good idea. So I would be pro on this. Pretty much all these I'm pro on except for, I think I'm in pro of all these. House Bill 1082 and Senate Bill 5279, convening a stakeholder group on staff qualifications. Again, just a stakeholder group to address and recommend qualifications for staff working with children, youth, and families. So making sure that you get the right people in the door, right qualifications, making sure that they're meeting what the people actually need. Again, I don't see anything wrong with that. I think it's a good idea. Plus, that would maybe get better people in that actually care. There's so much turnover, high burnout, but getting people who actually care and want to do that work could be majorly impactful. And I think would be good. So those bills I'm in full support of. Bill of Rights. So going back to that Bill of Rights again that I want to hit on just one more time before I wrap this thing up. Let's see if there's anything else I want to hit on. Mandatory reporting by clergy. Clergy members would be required to report abuse. House Bill 1211, Senate Bill 5375. So while it's intended to enhance child protection and spark debate over religious freedom and the sanctity of confidential communications such as confessions, I don't think that matters. Religious leaders, if they want to protect their kids and honor and glorify God, they absolutely should be reporting these things because the child feels trusted enough to come to you and to open up to you, and you should be doing what you can to protect that child. I'm pretty sure Jesus wouldn't just hold on to that and not say anything to the right people to actually get the child help and into the right situation. And yeah, I think clergy members absolutely should be reporting. So I am pro that one. Online features, restrict businesses providing online services or products like to be accessed by minors. Oh, yes. House Bill 1834, Senate Bill 5708, regulating addictive online features. So, restricting businesses from providing online services or products likely to be accessed by minors that contain addictive features. So yes, this is good. The legislation addresses growing concerns about the impact of screen time and addictive online content on children's mental health. However, it raises questions about enforcement and the balance between regulation and innovation in the tech industry. Every tech industry should have some policies, some rules, some things in place that protect kids. That's a no-brainer. That's absolutely a no-brainer. You need to make a child-friendly version of your app or your content or material that safeguards them, that safeguards their mental health, that safeguards their development, and not just open access to all these things, right? And then parents, again, you should be in total control of what your children are doing online, what they're looking up on their phones and their devices, things like that. You should be able to track every single thing, and you should know. And you should be having those ongoing conversations of online safety. So it's sad that we have to get to a bill to do it, but I think it's more to hold those creating the content accountable than anything else. Wow, there are a lot of bills. I might have to make this a two-parter and jump back into this next time, but we're gonna leave it there. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna shove all this into because I still have more bills that I want to get into. I told you guys yesterday on the very first episode that there was a absolutely massive list of of excuse me. There was an absolute massive list of bills and everything I wanted to get into, and I barely scratched the surface here on everything. But I hope you found this information helpful in some way, shape, or form, because that's what I want it to be. I just want it to be helpful. I want it to help you, the average person, the ordinary, fight back against this war on the ordinary person and the war on families, and on how they're trying to come for our kids. They're trying to take our kids away from us. They want our kids for whatever reason that should make you feel icky. It should make you feel not good. We'll break down Senate Bill 5181 a little bit more tomorrow, and I'll get into that because a deeper dive into that is so important, especially as it continues to make progress. My bad, into the Senate and through the process here, which I don't love. It makes me feel kind of icky that it's just kind of passing and going through despite the pushback and despite people saying no, we don't want that kind of thing. And so I hope you found this helpful. Again, the best place to go is to the leg.wa.gov website, leg.wa.gov, and type in these bills I showed you mentioned on the podcast, and go and take the 30 seconds per bill. I've been talking here for 40 minutes. You could have gone and made comments on every single one of these bills in that 40 minutes easily and still have about 30 minutes to spare. And so please go and make your voices heard. I encourage you to go make your voices heard. Go look up more bills. Go do more research. I would heavily suggest, if you want a quick overview, you don't want to read the bills because they don't make sense, the jargon, things like that, download the PDF, go to ChatGPT and plug the bill in and ask it the questions you want to ask it and to understand it. Or whatever AI that you prefer. Windows AI, could be Grok, whatever you prefer to use. But go in there and learn and ask the questions about these bills and learn, and so that you can make informed decisions. And then again, once you understand them a little bit more, start to talk to those around you. If you're part of a dad's group or a mom's group or something, say, hey, have you heard about this bill? Yeah, I listened to this new podcast called the Evergreen Report with this amazing host Jey, and he brought up this bill, and man, we should be talking more about this because this could have a major impact on our kids. This could have a major impact on our families, our communities, things like that. So here's how you go and access it. Go vote to oppose this, or go vote to support this, because this could be huge. I think we could actually get this passed, get our voices heard. The more people voting, the more people getting their voices heard, the better. Again, this has been the Evergreen Report. I'm your host, Jey, and until next time.